Yes, exactly. I try to be concise because I only have 5 minutes, so I start the timer. Today I'll talk about the open source book. Uh, First of all, I'm Davide Imola. I don't have time to present myself, but I present myself tomorrow because I have a session in the second room of the GoLab about RDBMS productivity. Today I talked about the open source book. What is the open source book and why writing it? We have decided as a community, the Italian community, started working in writing this open source book because we have decided to give back to the community and help other people to grow their careers by helping in different ways. For example, some people that might be senior in doing something may help other because we love open source activities. So we start writing this book about developing software development, not about how you have about Go or Rust or something like that, but focused on how to become a better programmer. And we think it may be a good thing to all the people to read or write it because open contribution are allowed. And of course, it may help juniors to enter the field and start working, understand how they can they become a better speakers or better developers. So, how can I contribute to this book? Contributions, as I said, are open because it's an open source project. So you can contribute through our GitHub repository. Currently, the book is only in Italian. We are writing it only in Italian because, yeah, we start as Italian community. But we are thinking about translating it in English too and start working in English too. Which arguments will be covered? We will be covered many topics for how to handle the code pull request, how to start your career in open source, start contributing to open source projects, small or bigger open source projects, or, for example, methodologies like Agile or stuff like that, or maybe some arguments that may be more challenging to write or to cover, that might be, for example, burnouts or stuff, or how to avoid burnouts while programming, because we are programmers, we know that we can face burnouts when we are working. Or one other thing that might be interesting, community and networking and events, because for me, they are the most important thing if you go in events like that, or if you join communities. Can I propose a new argument? Yes, of course. Of course, there are a repository. We are using issues to submit new proposals for new topics. So if you want to propose a topic, create an issue, and we may consider it and start working on it. Now I would like to talk a little bit about how we organized all the thing. We have decided to create a sort of contributing community membership. So if you start contributing a lot, you can become a contributor and later on an ambassador. An ambassador is a person that is committed to working on this project and helping others to enter the project itself and start contributing and writing a few lines of Markdown because the book is Markdown. We have decided to organize us in working groups, like some foundations, for example, CNCF and stuff like that. They're working groups, so not all the people are covering all the aspects of the book. There are small teams that are focused in something. For example, there's the funding group, the funding group that is only about funding and money. Of course, nobody wants to join it. And stuff like that. For example, verifiers that verifies what's inside the book, if it is correctly and fine. Yeah, we accept as other open source project financially contribution. We have an open collective page, and if you want, you can contribute. If you have a question, but I think I don't have time for that. But I think you can find me somewhere else in the community area. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, now it's time for Roberto Clapis.
Ti ho distrutto di cosa.
Okay, is it readable? Nice. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about reactive programming. This is not React. React is not reactive, by the way. So reactive programming is an approach to programming that is functional in a way that is easier to understand than Haskell, and that's basically everything. But in this specific case, is much easier to understand. And here is an example. For example, let's say that you're writing code that assigns 2 to A, 5 to B, and then sums them. You would expect C to have the value of 7. And that is on any programming language. Hopefully, this will work. But with reactive programming, if you assign something to A, like 5, then C will update its value accordingly. And if you're asking, why is this useful, and why would I ever do this to myself? This is why I'm giving this talk. Just chill, like 2 more minutes. So this is an example. For example, if you have a browser code that you're writing and you have to handle user clicks, in JavaScript you have what is called the callback hell, and hell is not in a nice way. If you have something that allows you to handle inputs as a stream of inputs and turn them into pipes, you can then manipulate them, and as things change, the state of the program will update, and you will not have to do state management, which is what usually breaks in web applications. So for example, let's say that you handle user clicks. You can put them in a pipe, and if you need to do something with them, you can change them after. And if you need to do a request, when a user clicks something, add the request there. This supports async and sync function the same way. There is no difference. You just say, if there is this input, I want this output to happen. I don't care how. Any program is a function from its inputs to its outputs. This allows you to write code this way. Now, basically, you build pipes and recipes and operators that are very reusable. There are libraries like the one that I just showed, RxJS, that comes with 50 plus operators that you can reuse. For example, debounce. Let's say that the user starts clicking hysterically on a button. You might want to say, OK, I'm going to handle one every half second. Everything else I'm going to discard. And you don't need to write that code. It's bothersome code. It makes it harder to read. You have operators for that. And the sharing of operators, for you, if you use Go, you're going to be familiar with this code. This is something that if you have used Go routines in Go, you have written at least once. Basically, we are creating a wait group, adding some Go routines to it to work, and then we use a channel to send data to that work group, crunch that data, do some work, and then send it back. For a newcomer to the language or to your project, this is impossible to read. Unless they're expert Go readers, this is not something that they can parse. While instead, what they should do is just focus on the 5 things that matter, the inputs, the outputs, and how you process them. The line below is what it would look like in reactive Go. Basically, you just have a function that says, I'm going to do this work, you give me a pipe, and I give you the pipe with the outputs. I'm not saying that you should do this anywhere, but this is something that sometimes may make your code easier to read and easier to write, which is usually a nice situation to be in. Be careful to not fall for the framework approach. Frameworks are something you should never do in Go, and honestly, try to avoid them. Libraries are much better because they allow you to compose the behaviors that you want and pick what you need for your situation. And please don't overdo it. I've seen a lot of people write everything in reactive form. It makes it like reading a poetry, but I'm trying to read code. So I don't care about your personal expression. I want to see what you're trying to do. So there is a nice balance to find here, but there is a good approach here that no one basically is using to make your code more readable, more writable, and more reusable at the same time. And that's it. If you have any questions, you can write me on Telegram because I'm out of time.
Thank you so much, Roberto.